Queen Elizabeth's hidden talent that made her sparkle like never before. Christmas is the time lots of us bring out our inner child, and the royals are no exception. Especially Queen Elizabeth who sparkled on stage singing, dancing, corny jokes, outrageous costumes, and the inevitable custard pie. Nothing says Christmas quite like a pantomime. And for the Prince and Princess of Wales, December 2020's trip to the London Palladium to see Pantoland was extra special, marking one of their very first official outings as a family of 5. With excitement in the air, George, then 7, 5-year-old Charlotte and little Louis, then just 2, clutched their parents' hands as they made their way along the red carpet towards the theater doors. The performance was arranged to thank key workers and their families for their incredible efforts during the pandemic, making the family's appearance both poignant and joyful. This wasn't the first time the royals had swapped a palace drawing room for a theater royal box. King Charles is a regular at the annual Royal Variety performance, generally staged towards the end of November when Christmas celebrations are firmly in the air. The show has become a traditional date in the royal diary since the reign of Charles's great-grandfather George V, who attended the first one in 1912. One of the most memorable shows dates back to 1963 when the lineup included the Beatles. Queen Elizabeth couldn't attend as she was pregnant with Prince Edward, but the Queen Mother and Princess Margaret were there to hear John Lennon say, "The people in the cheaper seats, clap your hands. And the rest of you, if you just rattle your jewelry." Another famous Royal Variety performance moment came in 2013 when Barry Humphries, appearing as Dame Edna Everage, popped up in the royal box where Charles and Camilla were sitting. After cozying up to Camilla, Dame Edna was handed a ticket by an usher and then explained to the laughing royals before leaving, "I'm so sorry, they found me a better seat." In 2005, when the show was staged in Cardiff at the Millennium Centre, the late Queen and Prince Philip were amused by comedian Catherine Tate when she looked up at the royal box and, in a twist to her infamous catchphrase, asked, "Is one bothered? Is one's face bothered?" For William and Harry, the magic of theatre began in childhood. Like thousands of children across Britain, they both appeared in school nativity plays. In 1986, William played the innkeeper in a nursery production, and in 1988, 4-year-old Harry was cast as a shepherd in a white embroidered tunic and a blue headdress. A year earlier, in 1987, Harry had a role in a Christmas show where he was dressed in red tights, jumper and hat and a green tabard to play an elf. In 2017, William revealed that Prince George, then 4, had played a sheep, proving that even future kings aren't above bleeding their way through a school production. It's hard to imagine the late Queen as a budding star of the stage, but during the war years, she captivated audiences in 4 festive pantomimes held at Windsor Castle. Although the teenage Elizabeth might have been expected to play a princess, that was not the case. In fact, she appeared in 3 Christmas shows as a man. Her theatrical journey saw her play hero princes in both Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty, before she starred in Aladdin. The teenage Elizabeth took on male leads with confidence, while her sister Margaret always nabbed the female roles, most notably Cinderella. The idea of the performances first came about after the 2 girls took part in a 1940 musical concert. Produced by Hubert Tanner, headmaster of the Royal School in Windsor, the show featured local children and evacuees alongside the princesses. The sisters enjoyed it so much that Margaret suggested a more ambitious pantomime project the following year to raise money for the war effort and boost local morale. And so began a run of productions, each performed 3 times to audiences of up to 600 people. The first was Cinderella in 1941, followed by Sleeping Beauty in 1942, Aladdin in 1943, and finally in 1944, Old Mother Red Riding Boots, a specially created mash-up of fairy tale and pantomime genres. Elizabeth's costumes were certainly striking. In Sleeping Beauty, she played Prince Salvador in tunic and breeches, earning admiration from her father's private secretary Tommy Lascelles, who wrote, "The whole thing went with a slickness and confidence that amazed me." But her Aladdin costume caused the most intrigue. Dressed in a gold and turquoise brocade jacket, matching hat and opaque tights and surprisingly short shorts, Elizabeth raised eyebrows at home. King George VI is said to have remarked to Tommy that his daughter's breeches were way too short and somewhat indecorous. Far from being amateur performances in drafty church halls, the princess's pantos were slick, polished affairs. Plenty of professional help was brought in, including lighting companies, scenery makers, makeup artists and wig experts. Leading theatrical costumiers were also involved, although the princesses helped make some costumes themselves. The Oriental-style costumes in Aladdin were made of furnishing fabrics from the staterooms at Windsor Castle. The princesses also wore their own clothes in certain scenes, including some from Sir Norman Hartnell, the couturier who later designed Elizabeth's wedding gown. Further support came from the famous film director, Sir Alexander Korda, whose chief designer planned and built the scenery for Old Mother Red Riding Boots. This final production was the most ambitious. Elizabeth played Lady Christina Sherwood in a pink satin and lace frock and performed duets, while Margaret sang a solo as the Honourable Lucinda Fairfax in blue taffeta. The shows raised hundreds of pounds for the Royal Household Wool Fund, which supplied knitting wool to make comforters that could be worn under helmets of soldiers fighting on the front line in the Second World War. Elizabeth's performance as Aladdin further endeared her to Prince Philip. Their first significant meeting was in July 1939 when she and her parents visited the Royal Naval College in Dartmouth when she was just 13 and Philip, a naval cadet, was 18. He was in the audience to watch Aladdin and was most enchanted by 17-year-old Elizabeth's particularly spirited performance. Her former governess Marion Crawford later recalled, "The pantomime went off very well. I have never known Lilibet more animated. There was a sparkle about her none of us had ever seen before. As history would soon show, it was the beginning of one of the greatest royal love stories of all time."